It begins modestly. A remark that seems slightly too cutting. A message ignored for several days. A choice made without consulting you. You sense it in your stomach first. A chilly descending heaviness, but you gulp it down. You grin. You convince yourself you're choosing the superior path. You convince yourself it doesn't count. But it does count. Because rudeness is not an occurrence. It is a progression. It is an examination. And each time you remain quiet, each time you brush it off with laughter, you are not being kind. You are endorsing an agreement. You are informing the world that your self-respect is bargainable, that you are inexpensive, that you can be trampled upon without repercussions. Lucius Stratagem, the individual who comprehended the gloomiest aspects of human character, recognized this ages ago. He recognized that the instant you are perceived as feeble, you are already defeated. He didn't compose the ruler for individuals who desired to be appreciated. He composed it for individuals who desired to endure. If you are weary of being the one who contributes more than they receive, if you are weary of feeling unseen in a space filled with individuals, pay attention carefully. We are going to conduct an operation on your character. We are going to eliminate the portion of you that pleads for endorsement. And we are going to create something else, something powerful. However, initially, we have to address the inquiry that troubles you during the late hours. The inquiry you hesitate to pose since you already grasp the response. Why do they act that way? And even more crucially, why do you permit it? There exists a mental switch you are activating daily that encourages them to behave toward you like this. You are activating it at this moment. You are activating it through your stance, your regrets, and your accessibility. We must locate that switch and we must shatter it. Rudeness is seldom a yell. It is a murmur. It commences minor and evaluation. People are resourceful hunters. We are perpetually surveying our surroundings for order. Who ranks higher than me? Who ranks lower than me? Who can I exploit? Who should I dread? When somebody encounters you, be it an initial outing, a fresh supervisor, or a long-time acquaintance, they are unconsciously probing the boundary of your domain. They press against the barrier. They offer a minor quip at your cost. They arrive 10 minutes delayed without notifying. They cut into your tail to share theirs. They are observing, anticipating. If the barrier stands firm, if you address them with a glance, a quietness, or a solid limit, they retreat. They label you as worthy. But if the barrier sways, if you grin uneasily, if you declare it's fine, no issue. You have just granted them authorization to encroach. Stratagem noted that individuals are motivated by two main drives, either by affection or by apprehension. In today's society, we don't require others to dread for their existence. We require them to dread the forfeiture of entry to us. When you endure a minor rudeness, you are instructing them. You are the designer of your own degradation. You are educating them that your schedule is low cost, your emotions are unimportant, and your limits are recommendations. Recall the recent occasion you felt diminished. Perhaps it was a gathering. You expressed something and somebody spoke over you. What was your reaction? Did you halt? Did you express regret? Did you pause until they concluded? At that instant, you indicated surrender. You indicated that their speech was more vital than yours. And the harshest aspect, you experienced it. You experienced the disloyalty of your own self. That descending sensation in your stomach is not merely humiliation. It is your spirit yelling at you for forsaking it. Rudeness flourishes in the space between your honor and your anxiety. You dread disagreement. You dread being viewed as challenging. You dread that if you defend yourself, you will be dismissed. So you select the gradual toxin of rudeness over the acute ache of clash. But Stratagem cautions us, conflict is not evaded. It can only be delayed to the benefit of others. When you evade the clash of establishing a limit now, you are ensuring a battle against your self-confidence later. And in that battle, you are combating solo. So how do you respond? The typical guidance is feeble. Express how you sense. Employ self-focused phrases. No. When you are interacting with somebody who mistreats you, you are interacting with a dominant structure, not a counseling meeting. If you describe your emotions to somebody who lacks regard for you, you are providing them weapons. You are revealing your vulnerable spot. You do not describe. You do not grumble. You transform into the emptiness. Picture tossing a sphere at a barrier. It rebounds, you grab it. You toss it once more. It's an activity. You are involved. Now picture tossing that sphere into a dark chasm. It fails to rebound. It produces no noise. It simply disappears. Do you toss another sphere? No, you withdraw. You are disturbed. You are uncertain what lies in that obscurity. That is the strength of non-response. When somebody offends you, they are anticipating a particular sequence. They anticipate you to become furious, which demonstrates they dominate your feelings. Or they anticipate you to withdraw, which demonstrates they possess your area. When you perform neither, you disrupt the sequence. You gaze at them. You maintain visual connection. You do not grin. You do not frown. You merely watch. You allow their statements to linger in the atmosphere. You allow the quietness extend until it grows awkward. Not for you, for them. Quietness is a reflector. In that quietness, their offense bounces back to them. They perceive the triviality in their own tone. They recognize the childishness of their own conduct. You will observe them begin to shift uneasily. They will declare, "I was merely kidding." Or, "Why are you so grave?" They are floundering. They are attempting to retrieve the sphere, but you don't return it to them. You have assumed what stratagem terms the stance of the sovereign. The sovereign does not participate in minor clashes in the dirt. The sovereign observes from the elevated platform. This is not about being inactive. This is about being calculated. Vitality is money. Focus is money. Why would you compensate somebody who just attempted to steal from you? When you deny your response, you are indicating that their view of you lacks sufficient importance to affect you. You are indicating that you are rooted in something more profound than their affirmation. This is the initial phase to becoming impervious. You cease nourishing the creature. Stratagem stated, the sly one is essential to identify snares. Rudeness is frequently a snare masked as ordinary dialogue. It is the sly put-down from a controller. The indirect praise. You're quite clever for somebody who skipped university. You appear fine. Have you shed pounds? If you accept the lure, if you express gratitude, or if you become protective, the snare closes tightly. The sly one perceives the purpose behind the statements. You must cultivate detached understanding. Warm understanding is experiencing what they experience. It is becoming engulfed in the feeling. Detached understanding is analytical. It is a doctor examining a growth. You comprehend why they are acting thus, but you are not contaminated by it. Why is this individual attempting to diminish my position? Typically, it is because they sense their own position is endangered. The confident do not require to demean. Only the insecure require to step on another's neck to feel elevated. When you perceive the rudeness for what it represents, a sign of their frailty, not an indication of your value, it forfeits its bite. It becomes pitiful. You cease wondering, what is faulty with me? And you begin wondering, what is damaged in them? This alteration in viewpoint is crucial. It removes you from the sufferer position and places you in the examiner position. The sly one understands that you cannot combat every confrontation. If you bellow at every hound that yelps, you will exhaust your tone. You must select where to participate. Occasionally, the fiercest action is to concur with them. They declare, "You're so idle." You declare, "I realize it's a privilege." They declare, "You're odd." You declare, "Definitely." This is a method known as misting. You transform like mist. If you hurl a rock at a stone, it fractures. If you hurl a rock at mist, it glides straight past. You provide no opposition. You offer them nothing to press against. By concurring with the offense, or rather by declining to be offended by it, you neutralize them entirely. You seize the tool from their grasp and you discard it on the ground. It bewilders them. It shatters their perspective. They desire to battle. You provide them nothing. And in that emptiness, you triumph. However, occasionally quietness is insufficient. Occasionally the beast is at the entrance and the fastening is failing. Stratagem recognized that while the sly one is clever, the beast is essential to intimidate. There are instances when you must reveal your fangs. Not to chomp necessarily, but to remind them that you are capable. This is where most individuals falter. They mix hostility with power. They shout. They warn. They create a spectacle. That is not power. That is an outburst. Genuine hostility is managed. It is exact. It is a targeted assault. When a limit is violated repeatedly, quietness is no longer viable. Now you must implement a repercussion. But here is the stratagem essential. The repercussion must be deed, not statements. You do not declare, "If you repeat that, I will depart." You simply depart. You do not declare, "Cease cutting me off." You cease talking completely, gaze at them, await for them to complete, and then direct your focus to another person. You exclude them from the discussion. You withdraw your focus. You withdraw your attendance. Stratagem composed. Individuals ought either to be properly handled or demolished. In a contemporary setting, demolished means they forfeit entry to the benefit of your moments. If you possess a companion who regularly abandons plans with you, you don't compose a lengthy section about how it wounds your sentiments. You cease extending invitations. When they eventually contact you, you are occupied, not pretend occupied, genuinely occupied constructing an existence that doesn't rely on them. You essentially terminate the form of the connection where they are allowed to mistreat you. This is distressing. It demands you to be prepared to forfeit individuals. And that is why so many of you are trapped. You are not prepared to depart. You are clinging to the remnants of a connection because you are horrified of the emptiness. But you must grasp this. You cannot bargain honor with a saboteur. And anyone who imprisons your self-value is a saboteur to your spirit. If you are not prepared to depart, you possess no influence. None. The beast does not pretend. The beast does not bargain its own being. The beast defines its area. And if you violate it, there is a cost to settle. That cost is your non-attendance. Rarity generates worth. Gems are precious because they are scarce. Air is complementary, but if I remove it from you for 2 minutes, you will exchange all you possess for an inhalation. Stratagem comprehended that closeness fosters disdain. If you are constantly accessible, constantly there, constantly responding immediately, your worth declines. You become part of the decor. When you have been mistreated, your instant impulse is often to exert more to regain them, to demonstrate you are deserving, to repair it, do the contrary, retreat. This is not the mute handling. The mute handling is controlling. It is performed to elicit a response. I am discussing calculated retreat. This is performed for your safeguarding and readjustment. You retract your vitality back into your own core. You cease starting. You cease revealing your private thoughts. You become a facade, courteous, businesslike, but unbreakable. You handle them like an unfamiliar person. There is a chill to this, a required chill. When you retract your heat, they sense the frost. They recognize that the heat was a present, not an entitlement, and abruptly the structure changes. They begin to chase you. Is all well? You've been reserved recently. Do not hasten back inside. Allow them to linger in the frost. Allow them to recognize that your attendance is something that must be merited. This demands you to possess an existence beyond them. You must possess a goal, an objective, a realm of your own. If your whole universe circles around one individual, a companion, a leader, a guardian, you are exposed. You are a moon circling their world. If they repel you, you float into gloomy void. But if you are the star, if you possess your own pull, then their rudeness does not shift you. You merely glow onward. Construct your stronghold, construct your abilities, construct your physique, construct your finances, construct your intellect. When you recognize that you can persist and flourish without them, you become threatening. You become liberated. And a liberated individual is impossible to mistreat because a liberated individual can always exit. Now we delve further into the shadowy chamber of the thoughts. We have discussed how to manage the outer realm, but the outer realm is merely a mirror of the inner one. The harsh reality, the stratagem reality is that you are being mistreated because on some plane you think you merit it. You possess a rudeness foundation. It is a regulator adjustment in your unconscious. If you were nurtured in a turbulent household, or if you possess a background of injury, your regulator is adjusted to endurance. You are at ease with a specific degree of mistreatment. It seems known. It seems like residence. When somebody handles you kindly, you become doubtful. You undermine it. When somebody handles you badly, you advance closer. You attempt to mend them. You have to readjust the regulator. You have to construct what the philosophers termed the internal stronghold, a bastion within your thoughts that no one can access without your approval. This commences with how you communicate with yourself. If you mistreat yourself, if you violate commitments to yourself, if you consume rubbish, if you delay, if you gaze in the reflection and consider offenses, why would you anticipate anyone else to handle you otherwise? You are transmitting your self-value on a wavelength that everyone can detect. When you enter a space, your subtle gestures, your inflection, the manner you occupy area, it all narrates a tale. Is the tale please approve me, or is the tale I exist? To eradicate rudeness, you must first eradicate the fragile form of yourself, the form that craves affirmation like an addiction. You must abstain from affirmation. Cease inquiring others what they believe. Cease seeking praises. Cease regretting for occupying area. Begin fulfilling commitments to yourself. If you declare you are heading to the fitness center, you head. If you declare you are heading to labor, you labor. Each time you fulfill a commitment to yourself, you place a stone in the internal stronghold. You construct self-reliance. And when you rely on yourself, when you honor yourself, other people's rudeness seems repulsive. It doesn't seem known anymore. It seems like an infringement. And you dismiss it immediately, instinctively, like contacting a scorching surface. You don't have to attempt to establish limits. Your being is the limit. Individuals can detect self-honor. It possesses an aroma. It aromas like peril. It aromas like somebody who cannot be controlled. And curiously, it draws the correct type of individuals. Individuals who desire to encounter you at your plane, not individuals who desire to pull you down to theirs. Let's examine the hands-on use. Tomorrow dawn, you enter employment or you position at the meal area. Somebody offers a remark. Has to be pleasant to exit prematurely, or I notice you ultimately chose to arrive. The former you would have chuckled anxiously. The former you would have clarified, oh, I truly completed all my tasks. Or, regret, roads were terrible. The fresh you, the one who has traversed this ordeal. You halt, you pivot, you gaze them in the vision. You maintain the stare for 3 moments. 1, 2, 3. You utter nothing. You pivot back to what you were performing. You have just indicated, I detected you and it was below me. Or maybe you employ the questioning approach. You act the sly one. They declare, has to be pleasant to exit prematurely. You inquire with authentic interest. What do you imply by that? Compel them to clarify the offense. Compel them to reveal their indirect hostility. Oh, just that you're exiting prior to 5. Yes. Is there an issue with my performance? Now they are defending. Now they have to act the leader or they have to withdraw. You have seized the hidden assault and rendered it open. You have pulled the phantom into the brightness. This is the effort. It is uneasy. Your pulse will accelerate. Your palms might tremble. Perform it regardless. Bravery is not the lack of anxiety. Bravery is performing while you are anxious. Each time you perform this, you revise your brain connections. You are instructing your mind that you are secure when you protect yourself. You are instructing your bodily system that you can manage the disagreement. And gradually, the anxiety diminishes. It is substituted by a soft, glowing satisfaction. The satisfaction of a leader who has ultimately claimed the seat. We must confront the darkness. Victor Shade, the Swiss mental specialist, instructed that we all possess a darkness, the gloomy suppressed aspect of our character, the hostility, the egocentrism, the potential for harm. You have been instructed to conceal your darkness, to be decent, to be innocuous. But an innocuous person is not a decent person. An innocuous person is a feeble person. A decent person is a threatening person who has his threat under deliberate management. To manage rudeness, you must incorporate your darkness. You must be connected with your potential for wickedness. You need to recognize that you could injure them, that you could ruin their standing with a phrase, that you could be harsh and you select not to be. That is where your assurance originates from, not from being innocuous, but from being a beast who has selected to be refined. When you recognize you possess a blade, you don't need to swing it about. You can retain it in the cover, but individuals recognize it exists there. They perceive the handle. This is the stratagem contradiction. To possess tranquility, you must be ready for conflict. If you are unable of hostility, your generosity is just yielding. If you are capable of hostility but select generosity, that is merit. Cease attempting to be a holy one. Be a fighter in a meadow. When somebody mistreats you, they are basically verifying to see if you possess a blade. If they perceive you are defenseless, if they perceive you are unable of disagreement, they will seize everything from you. Display them the handle. Display them that you are selecting tranquility, but you are not fearful of conflict. Let's halt. I desire you to consider the expense. What has your endurance cost you? It has cost you rest. It has cost you honor. It has cost you the honor of your offspring who observe how you allow others to handle you. It has cost you funds because you didn't request the increase. It has cost you affection because you remained with somebody who handled you like a choice. Rudeness is a robber. It pilfers your tomorrow. Each time you ingest your fact, you are ingesting toxin. That toxin builds up. It transforms into bitterness. It transforms into gloom. Gloom is often just fury with no destination. It transforms into ailment. The physique records the tally. You cannot permit to be mistreated anymore. It is too costly. The cost is your existence. Are you prepared to settle that cost just to maintain the tranquility? Whose tranquility are you maintaining? Theirs. Because you certainly aren't maintaining yours. You are igniting yourself to maintain them comfortable. Halt it. Allow them to chill. The final objective is not just to manage rudeness. It is to surpass it. There arrives a degree of self-command where the views of others genuinely profoundly do not count. This is the condition of the exceptional. The exceptional recognizes that individuals cast their own actuality onto others. When somebody labels you conceited, it is because they sense diminished. When somebody labels you egocentric, it is because they desire to exploit you. The exceptional does not accept it individually. They accept it organizationally. You perceive people as complex devices operating obsolete programs. They are responding to their injury, their anxieties, their training. You are just a display they are casting their film onto. When you recognize this, when you genuinely comprehend it, you become liberated. You can gaze at somebody yelling at you and sense nothing but interest. How intriguing you consider. Observe how much agony they are enduring. You are no longer on the game board. You are observing the contest. This is the degree stratagem sought. The degree where you are not governed by chance but by your own merit, your own ability. You become the center of the tempest. The disorder rotates around you, but you are motionless. And in that motionlessness, you discover a strength that no yell, no offense, and no disloyalty can ever contact. This is the triumph. Not that they cease attempting to mistreat you. They might never cease. The world is filled with damaged individuals. The triumph is that you cease concerning. You cease requiring them to be altered. You cease anticipating a regret that will never arrive. You embrace actuality as it exists, and you navigate through it with the elegance of a hunter and the insight of a wise one. You become the beast and the sly one. So here is your assignment for the following 7 days. Watch. Be the sly one. Detect each time somebody violates a boundary. Detect each time you sense the impulse to regret when you did nothing incorrect. Detect each time you diminish. Don't evaluate it, just perceive it. And then select one minor confrontation. One instant where you would normally yield and maintain. Maintain the quietness. Maintain the stare. Maintain the limit. Observe what occurs. Observe the astonishment in their vision. Observe the alteration in the vitality and sense the rush of strength returning to your physique. It commences with one instant, one selection, one deed of denial. You possess the guide, you possess the tool. The inquiry is, do you possess the determination? Stratagem composed, all perceive what you seem to be. Few encounter what you truly are, display them who you truly are. Not by communicating more loudly, but by declining to be shifted. Prior to we conclude, comprehend this is not a single occasion remedy. This is a way of living, a doctrine. You will stumble. You will revert to former patterns. You will allow somebody to trample you and you will despise yourself for it afterward. That is portion of the progression. Pardon yourself, then hone the blade once more. The route to autonomy is a sharp peak. Most individuals perish at the foundation site grumbling about the climate. You are ascending. The atmosphere is rarer up here. It is chillier. But the site is sharpness. You perceive who individuals truly are. And more crucially, you perceive who you truly are. You are not the sufferer of your tale. You are the creator, and the creator possesses the strength to compose a fresh figure. A figure who demands honor not by requiring it, but by representing it. The world will adapt to you. It always does. The powerful establish the environment. The feeble conform to it. Be the climate. Rudeness is an inquiry. Are you feeble? Your reply must be the response. No, you do not need to yell it. Your existence should be the response. Your stance should be the response. Your non-attendance should be the response. We have traversed through the canyon of the gloom. We have analyzed the offense. We have equipped the thoughts. Now you must return to the world. The beasts are anticipating. Allow them to anticipate. You are prepared. If this broadened your vision, comprehend this is only what I can display openly. There are recordings I cannot post for all. There are elements of shadowy mindset that I simply cannot explore openly on the platform without being restricted or deprived of revenue. The system represses the most potent data. Those reside behind the membership option. If you're still present, you're not like the rest. Enroll if you haven't. But if you desire what's concealed, select the membership option and enter the designer stage. You will access special unrestricted recordings that explore the profoundest sections of the human mind. The methods of superior control, the darkness effort that dismantles you to reconstruct you, and the prohibited doctrine that governs the world. Most won't. That's the essence. See you within.